retaining guys and recruiting new guys in the room, and you truly don't know who they are until you get around them and get them here for a while, and you do all your research, all you can from coaches and trainers and all that. And so college football, the teams that excel on Saturdays and play on championships Saturdays and all that, or in the day you retain and you get on transfers. I do think as I bounce around on these off days in every position in the room and being around the guys, I think we have not only some good players, but I think we have the right guys that love coming in the building, and I think Coach Kitley obviously establishes that of guys who want to come in the building. Like, they love being up there, and they want to be coached hard, right? And I think that's huge when you get a group of talent, but guys that want to be coached at every position and love being there. Then you just love being around those guys at the end of the day. It's just like a staff. So I think just kind of consistently coming every day and keep getting better and improving.
One of the things that I noticed in your early practices is the height that you've made a difference in, especially among the defensive backs. Is that to counter the run games, or what was the thought process for that?
Yeah, I think, I always label it too as you take D linemen, as you take DBs. Every DB coach says they want, you got to be 6 foot or this and that. And then you look across the NFL and there's guys that are 5'8", that's a really good player. And I think at the end of the day, you can't have a room of everything. It's like putting a puzzle together. You can't have the same piece. And so I think if there's a shorter player, he's got to have some different intangibles. He's got to have an elite quickness, mindset, playmaking ability. And same if they have some length, they got to have a strength. For instance, Tyson, he's a kid that obviously has a lot of length. And so know your strengths and weaknesses as players, but it's like I always relate to basketball. You can't go out there and have 5 point guards or 5 centers on the field. Right? You got to kind of a mixture of positions and what they do well, and that's always anytime you have length, that can cover up some issues, and especially being a run league and who can kind of go where, or figuring out what pieces kind of fit where.
Is Hector one of those players that he might not have the height to him, but he sure has the heart to make up for everything?
Without a doubt. We watched his tape when we first got here. The last staff signed him when we came on. You watch his huddle tape, and the kid just finds the ball, playmaking ability, see ball, get ball, and pop on the spring. He was a heck of a special teams player for us last year, one of Coach Scoop's top guys, and now getting a lot of reps with those guys being out and making a lot of plays, and has a day of mistakes and then comes back. And I think every time with guys like that you just go out there and put the ball and play ball, he always tends to show up. And so at the end of the day, he's a football player, and that's what you want.
Questions?
Coach, you did a little shooting of the safeties today. I guess upgraded some in that room. Is that kind of the thought? Over last year, a little more options there?
It's always the goal, right? Every year, as I always said, is our job's to replace them, and their job's not to get replaced, and create competition. And so you always want to keep upgrading every year and finding experience, right? Guys that can come in, especially at safety position, where that's the hard part about playing young, is there's so many what ifs. If the offense does this, if they do that, that playing experience and in-game experience, the ability to think and adapt and adjust and make a call on the fly, and maybe something you hadn't seen before in a game in a critical moment, is typically what makes plays and not make plays. And so you always kind of start there, and then you develop guys that are young. A guy that's kind of played well just right now and had an opportunity with Kyle being gone there at baseball was Justin Weatherall. That was a freshman, and he's got the intangibles, right? And he's a shorter guy.
Mike 10.
Opposite of Tyson, right? He's right there at 5'9.5", 5'10", 190 pounds, but he's quick twitch. He's got a knack for the football. Played wide receiver in high school. Ball skills. He made a heck of a play as a middle run through player there at the end, and a lot of that stuff you can't coach, and that's what you try to recruit. And so, yeah, I think there's competition still going in and trying to figure out who plays what spots. And I think right now with 5 practices in, and as we always look at it, who can play where, if injuries happen, who goes where, try to think of the plan if things, if guys go down, and how we keep improving, keep getting better, and create competition where guys will be comfortable.
And just a quick follow-up, Tyson, I believe you mentioned him just before, but he's a little older guy, P4 experience. Is he someone that you're kind of looking at potentially for one of your starting spots?
Yeah, absolutely. The way you want it, you always want about 4 guys you feel comfortable that could be a starter at any point, right? And who practices the best, who goes in the game, and because you're going to rotate series, you're going to do different things. You know, we kind of have a strong safety and a weak safety, and a lot of times we meet together in the back end. Could be like Chris Tooley's a nickel that could play safety, could play corner, and so you're always figuring out who can kind of go where. And I think you know, with those guys, as you look at it, you have 4, you have 5, but at the end of the day, it's, you know, especially with these option teams, you know, I just kind of like Jonathan Bax is another kid that's showing up for us, defensive end, and he's playing end, he's playing rush, he's playing a Sam linebacker for us. You know, that's like last year kind of had a nickel. We didn't really have that body type that can play in space at 250 pounds and can still set the edge and blitz, and so he's going to give you some ability in these option teams too. And so at the end of the day, we're trying to figure out, okay, who does what well, and then put them in those positions, adapt the scheme off of that, and try to keep it simple for them, but complex enough for the offense so they can go play fast.
Last year, I know you harped on this all the time, but takeaways, and it only happened 8 times. And some of that is, do you have the guys that are capable of making plays? Do you feel like you've brought in some guys who are more capable of creating those takeaways?
And you always start as recruit DB's ball skills, right? And then you want to play a little bit more zone coverage, so you have zone eyes, so they can plant and drive backyard football. But to be able to do that, you want to be able to affect the quarterback, and it all starts affecting the quarterback, right? And so if you can rush the passer with 4, when you watch a lot of these teams, as you study takeaway teams, and guys that can sack the quarterback and pressure him and get the guy off the spot and make him uncomfortable and throw the ball when they didn't want to, and rushing forward, then that's at your advantage. And then you got complemented, you know, bringing 5 and 6 and doing some different things at times. But you know, Coach Kitley made a huge emphasis of that during the off season and our winter conditioning. We did some conditioning drills and all that, everything involved the ball, right? Because it's taking care of the ball on offense, it's taking the ball away on defense and special teams, and so we made it a huge emphasis this spring in our D unit meetings, and Coach Colin Spencer, one of our assistant linebackers coach, edge coach, he's done a heck of a job. We chart everything of shots on the ball, and then show them, you know, when and where the opportunities to work the ball. And so we're making it a huge emphasis, because that's obviously you know, a key stat. Number one thing in winning games is turnover margin, and we got to improve as a team.
Just, I know he's 5 practices in, but what role do you envision Sean Crable stepping into?
Yeah, Jay's dad, John.
Yeah, sorry.
I hope he plays like Sean.
Yeah, me too.
You know, we brought in Jay for that rush position, and he's strong, right? He's played a lot of football, played in a good conference there with Ohio, and so he's good in the run game. He can rush the passer, right? And so and he's athletic potential is through the roof, and so he's a guy that can be out there every down, you know, and has good competition with backs, so backs can kind of play rush with him, but also be a 4-down end. You know, with Deshaun being out right now, Deshaun's a bigger end, so we have some different little opportunities there, and Josh is another guy there as well. And so, you know, we're trying to figure out as we get going in these live, you know, periods and call periods of who can function, what are they good at, and then, okay, if he's a good rusher, let's not drop him, right? Let's rush him, and then just mix in some drops and do what they do well. That's our job as coaches, is find out what they do well and enhance their strengths and work their weaknesses and put them in a position to be successful.
But he looks like that body type that you said you're looking for that.
Yeah, he does. It was crazy when his dad came on the official visit. You know, his dad is huge.
Yeah.
But yeah, he gets on the guy's pads because he's not as tall. He's right there at 6'2", but he is strong. Good bend movement, athletic ability, plays hard, so he can run down plays, all that. And so we definitely have some more athletic ability at the edge position now.